Good evening, everyone. My name is Peter Treader. I'm the president and founder of Journey to Diversity Workplaces. Welcome to our 2022 annual general meeting here on Google Meet. We wish to acknowledge that we are on the traditional territory of the Haudenosaunee and the Anishinaabe peoples. A reminder, this meeting is being recorded. If you do not want to be visible, please disengage your video as well as muting your microphone. If you have a question, at the bottom of the Meet, there's a chat box where you can answer questions. There will be time at the end of our speaker for a Q&A. And if you don't want your name mentioned when we ask your question, please let us know. It will be first name only if we do. Okay, so the first report is my own. Over the last year, we have been a little less active on the volunteer side and a little bit more active on the paid employment side. 2021 was the first year in which we received the Federal Summer Student Grant from the Government of Canada. This allowed us to hire 3 summer students, 2 which did blogging and editing for us, and this resulted in, because of our schedule of posting every 2 weeks, we ended up with approximately 6 months of blog posts on various topics related to our mission. And then we had 1 person hired to help with fundraising and grant writing. Unfortunately, on that front, we were not as successful. So we got 6 months worth of articles and essays and blog posts, and they ended up being really fantastic. The little bit of feedback that we've gotten is it was enjoyed by all. No real criticisms. Then again, we're not exactly a high traffic website, so could be the right people just haven't seen them yet. But we do share them all over social media. I do try and share them multiple times too after their first run when I can, because why not? We have some fantastic articles that were written, and yeah. Other than that, it's been a fairly quiet year. We've been working on recruiting some new board members, which we have been also successful with. We have 3 new board members joining us tonight, and it's been a fantastic year. As usual, our treasurer hasn't joined us for this meeting. He is one of those lovely volunteers that is in the background. So I'm just pulling up our. Okay, where did they go? I'm looking for our bank statement, and I know it was in here, and now I can't find it. After paying the payroll taxes in March for the last year, we had approximately $282 in the bank. No, I want date. Sorry, I'm talking to myself. All right, not sure what happened to it. Possible it's sitting and waiting to be scanned still. Or we haven't gotten it yet. That's why. That's why. It doesn't come till the next month. So I can go back to the March statement. Here we go. Our credit union doesn't give us online banking access, which is frustrating sometimes. Down. Too far. Yep, $282.02. So that'll be a little bit less our 90-cent monthly fee for the last couple months. So 280, I guess, roughly, is in the bank. Does anyone have any questions about either my report or the bank statement? can either raise, I think there's a raise hand function. Either raise your hand or you can ask in the Q&A box, question box, which if you're on your desktop, going back to my Google Meet here, is in the bottom right. It looks like a chat bubble. Okay, I'm guessing there's no questions. I don't see any in here. Perfect. So the results of the electronic vote that went out, all members were sent an electronic link from Simply Voting 2 weeks ago. We allowed for 2 weeks of voting. Anybody who hadn't voted last week was sent a reminder, as well as yesterday I sent in a final reminder. And the deadline was midnight last night. The bylaw amendments as presented were passed. You can review those on the website. They're up with the notice, as well as Frank, Leland, and Medicere were elected to the board. Congratulations, everyone.
Thank you.
All right, now we have what everyone came here and was waiting for, and Leland will probably be late for, but that's okay. Our wonderful Paralympic athlete, Zach, who definitely, listening to him talk to the very advanced, has not had the easiest life. So yeah, Zach is a three-time Paralympic athlete. He has won medals in the sport of wheelchair rugby, and I turn the floor over to Zach. Zach,
Right.
if you want to share your screen, you can.
Sorry?
If you wish to share your screen, you can.
Oh, that's all good. I don't have a PowerPoint or anything. I'm just going to chat with you guys if that's all right. So thanks for that lovely introduction. Hope you guys are all having a fantastic evening. I'm actually reporting to you live right now from Chicago, Illinois. I'm down here this weekend for a wheelchair basketball tournament. So I finished one game, rushed back to the hotel to come meet with you guys, and then once I'm done here, I have to head back to the gym for another couple of basketball games this evening. But Peter brought me in today just to share my story a little bit, like he said, about overcoming some obstacles and my journey to the Paralympics. So I am a three-time Paralympian in the sport of wheelchair rugby for Canada. But let's rewind it a little bit to the beginning of the story. I had amputations performed to my fingers and my legs in 2004. It all started, we were at my family cabin in Littlebow, which I'm sure most of you don't know. It's about an hour and a half southeast of Calgary. I'm an Alberta boy, born and raised. We used to be out at our cabin pretty much every weekend growing up. And one day started just feeling like I had some cold or flu-like symptoms. My parents didn't think anything of it, super healthy kid until that point. And so your typical parental medicine, go drink lots of water, try and sleep it off, and hopefully we'll be over this in a couple of days. And the next day, we realized something was more wrong than we initially anticipated. I was very cold, which I know you guys don't know me, but in the wintertime, I never have a jacket on. I'm always just running very warm. My parents threw me in a warm bath to try and warm me up, and then my lips started turning blue. And so I realized there's something very wrong with this kid. He's not just contracting your common cold. So they threw me in the truck and drove to the nearest hospital, which was a small county hospital in Vulcan, Alberta. And so they weren't very well equipped to be dealing with children or hadn't performed in some of the procedures that they had to that day. By the time we got to the hospital, I was able even to stand up or to walk into the hospital. I had been carried in. And this was October 17th, 2004. And for whatever reason, we had a freak blizzard that day. So STARS, the ambulance helicopter here in Alberta, was unable to fly. A fixed-wing aircraft was unable to fly to transport me. And so an emergency team came down from Calgary, should have been about an hour drive, ended up taking essentially twice as long as it normally would due to weather conditions. And because of what the staff at the hospital did for me in Vulcan, they managed to stabilize me for long enough for that team to come get me. But by the time the infection had happened, the damage was already done. Your body, when you get a staph infection, which is what was the cause of this incident, your body tries to preserve your vital organs, so your brain and your heart, and the extremities are left without sufficient blood flow and oxygen. So by this point, the tissue was unable to recover. I was initially in ICU on life support for the first many weeks. Organs had failed. I was on dialysis for my kidneys for several months early on. I was unconscious and kept in a medically induced coma while a lot of these operations were going on. So I was pretty unaware of what was happening, which is what the doctors were hoping for, and that I wouldn't remember a lot of these traumatic experiences. But I think because of the support from my mom, from the rest of my family, we had friends and family who were bringing dinner to the hospital every day for my mom and the rest of my family. My mom stayed with me in the hospital, never left for the first 6 months probably, and she just had clothes brought to bring to the hospital. I was an inpatient there, and she didn't want to leave my side, and was trying to support me in whatever way she could. And I think that's a huge part of why I'm able to have the attitude that I did at the time. And early on, obviously, it was tough, but I think I decided that I was 10 years old, still had my whole life ahead of me, and I could pout about it and dwell on the negative and stay in the basement of my parents' house for the rest of my life, or I can go and make the most of things still. So because of sport being such a huge part of my life beforehand, we used sport as a huge part of my life after this happened in order to recover the body and the mind in a healthier way, rather than as a 10-year-old sitting in a hospital doing physio and lifting weights or stretching out some rubber bands wasn't quite as exciting as sports would be for me. And so early on, I was going to school at Gordon Townsend, the school that was in the Alberta Children's Hospital, and we would have visits from the Calgary Flames would come and play hockey games against us, or the Calgary Roughnecks, some of the lacrosse team would come in and do hospital visits and come see kids in the rooms and play board games with them. And that made me realize that I wanted to pursue sport after my amputations and not let it hold me back at all. And so initially, I started playing sled hockey, which holding one hockey stick without fingers is difficult enough. In sled hockey, you have a stick in either hand, so even more difficult without fingers. So there was a lot of duct tape involved and some trial and error. But I played that as soon as I was healthy enough to really become active again and be able to handle some of the physical contact of playing sled hockey after having countless surgeries. I honestly don't know how many surgeries there have been to this day, but early on it seemed like probably weekly I was in for something else to get worked on. Obviously with growing and the amputations, the bones kept growing, but not always in the way that they were supposed to, so they'd have to go back in for surgeries as debridements, so you didn't have bones trying to grow at the end of your leg or anything. Sorry if that's a little gruesome, but and so after a few years, we decided that sled hockey wasn't maybe the best fit for me because I wasn't quite able to keep up being duct taped onto the sticks. And so that's when I discovered wheelchair basketball in about 2008, and immediately fell in love with that sport. I had planned actually on pursuing a Paralympic career in the sport of wheelchair basketball, and had aspirations of making Team Canada for that. And so I went to Canada Games with Team Alberta in 2011 in Halifax. And that's when I was scouted by the junior national team. So I attended a few training camps with them for basketball and went to a couple tournaments down in the States and things like that. And there was a few, I butt heads with a couple of the coaches. I guess I was a bit stubborn or would talk back, which most coaches don't appreciate, standing up for some of my teammates when I felt they were being mistreated and things. So I shot myself in the foot a little bit in wheelchair basketball. But around that time, February 2011, is when I first tried wheelchair rugby and immediately fell in love with the sport. I grew up pretty avid lacrosse player. I was one of the larger kids, so I enjoyed the contact and getting out there and roughing around. And the first time I tried wheelchair rugby, it's a full contact sport. I remember the first time I collided in my wheelchair with another player, I just immediately fell in love with it. So this was February 2011, and the Team Canada head coach, Kevin Orr, was in Winnipeg at this tournament, and so was my mom on the sideline because her 16-year-old child, who she was a little protective of after everything we'd been through, understandably, was going to try a new sport with a new group of people, mostly grown men in their 30s and 40s, so she wanted to tag along and supervise. And so after my first game, Kevin Orr went up to her and said, introduced himself. So, is that your son? And said that they had a team going to Germany for a tournament in April of that year, and that she would like me to be, or he would like me to be a part of that trip if possible. And my mom kind of hummed and hawed about it, knowing that I'd already missed a lot of school for basketball and going to the Canada Games and all these other events. And so after that game, she told me the conversation, and at the end of it asked me if I was a wheelchair basketball player or a wheelchair rugby player, because I would have to choose one route to pursue. And at that time, I was a fairly quiet kid, a man of few words, and my response to that question was nope. I wasn't ready to make a decision at that point. So after the second game the following day, Kevin Orr, the head coach, goes up to my mom again and says, we have a national tryouts next month in Vancouver, and if Zach could be there, we'd like to invite him. And so after that conversation, her and I had the same conversation, and she re-asked the question, so are you a wheelchair rugby player or a wheelchair basketball player? And again, man, a few words, my response was, nope. Still wasn't ready to decide. Didn't want to abandon my dreams of being a basketball player just yet. And the final day of that tournament, Kevin Orr goes up to my mom again and asks, or lets her know that they were planning on bringing 12 players to the London Paralympics the following fall, so about 18 months following this conversation, and said that if I could be ready, that they would like to take me to London for the Paralympics. And so my mom relayed this message to me, then asked me the question, are you a wheelchair rugby player or a wheelchair basketball player? And that's when I decided, I said to her, well, I guess I'd play wheelchair rugby now, because I could see my dreams of becoming a Paralympian becoming very real very quickly. And so that's how I made it onto the team initially. And then in 2011, disaster struck again. I was going in for a fairly routine operation. I had a medical device in my chest that was mostly just used for drawing blood out of or for administering medication. But at this point, was basically as healthy as one could ask for after everything I had endured. And so they went in to remove this device. While on the operating table, I had a cardiac incident where my heart was not beating properly and underwent CPR for 10 or 15 minutes while I was under and on the table. And I woke up, I came to, and the first thing I noticed was I was very cold, which again, as a person who is always running rather hot, I woke up, knew something was wrong, and I was covered in warm blankets and was still shivering. And I remember coming to and being in a room in the ICU with tubes sticking out of me and a room full of doctors standing around. Not sure what was going to happen. So fortunately, obviously, they got my heart beating again. And I'm here today to tell this tale. And I remember the first thing that came out of my mouth was my dad was supposed to come and visit after I had woken up from surgery bringing pizza. And I woke up, and apparently CPR and cardiac arrest makes a person very hungry. So I woke up, and the only thing I was concerned about was where my dad was with the pizza. And the doctors kind of chuckled and said, "You're in ICU. Like, most people aren't conscious here. We don't have food. Like, most people don't need to be fed when they're unconscious." So luckily, that was just a brief complication. There was no ongoing effects from that. I'm very fortunate and thankful to this day that not once but twice I should have died, and I'm still here to tell the tale. And 3 weeks later, I was in Montreal at a training camp with Team Canada, much to some of the team's concern. I had a lot of people with eyes on me that trip, and we slowly reintroduced me to playing. And that was about a year before the London Paralympic Games. And so to this day, I'll never forget these moments. I mean, the first time that I was 18 years old, wheeling out onto this court in London in front of a packed stadium of, I think, 18,000 people, and sitting there singing the national anthem and seeing the maple leaf being raised up in the rafters was a moment that I'll never forget. And so I remember my first game, I believe we were playing Belgium, and up until this point with the team, I was the new guy on the team. I didn't really know what was going on. I was still so new to the sport, which is crazy to think about going to the Paralympics and being less than 2 years into the sport. Obviously, I had time to learn everything there was. So I would play a few minutes a game, and the coach didn't want to put too much pressure on me or overwhelm me. So that game, coach called my name, told me I was going in, and I just told myself that when I went out there, all I could do, if I don't know necessarily where to be or when at the right time, I was just going to go out there and work as hard as I possibly could. And so I played 2 or 3 minutes maybe that game. I was in the room that night with one of my teammates who was rooming with me, and we'd been chit-chatting about the games a little bit. We were very excited. We won our first game of the tournament, and that's when the head coach comes into our room and says, "All right, you two, you are on the starting lineup tomorrow." So again, was thrown into the deep end, and things happened very quickly. And I guess my rise to the Paralympics in wheelchair rugby, and that was 2012, almost. It's over a decade now, which is crazy to think about. So we ended up losing to Australia, unfortunately, in the gold medal match of that tournament. So I came home, and we brought home a silver medal for Team Canada at the Paralympics, which again was one of the highlights of my life, and especially at that point when you're 18 years old and just months out of high school. Yeah, truly spectacular opportunity. And so I stuck around, continued to play until the Rio Paralympics in 2016, and my whole life for those 4 years was basically nothing but rugby. I would move wherever the team told me to move. I lived in Toronto for a year to pursue better training. I lived in Victoria for the 1 year leading up to the Rio Paralympics, which is not a bad place to be, so I wasn't complaining to go out there. But after the Rio Games, we were number 1 in the world heading in. We won several tournaments the year before internationally, and so there was a little bit of pressure and a target on our back in Rio. And unfortunately, we underperformed and didn't meet those expectations. We ended up coming home with a 4th place finish, and I was a little bit discouraged after committing 4 years of my life to this, and decided I wanted to plan for life a little bit outside of rugby and for what life had in store after rugby. So I took some time off from the sport. I unofficially retired, I like to say, and I went to SAIT in Calgary to pursue a diploma in architectural technology. And while doing that, realized that I wasn't quite ready to give up on my dreams of chasing that gold medal. I think of myself as a role model for future Canadians in the next generation, and thought to myself, what kind of example am I setting if I just give up on my goals because we lose one tournament? And so while I was in school, I graduated in spring of 2019 and made a return to wheelchair rugby. I made it back on the national team. Around the time I graduated, I had a conversation with the coaches. They were very accommodating with my school at that point, and I finished my degree that spring, made a return to the team, and here we are 3 years later when the pandemic hits. And so we had been 4 years, I guess. So we had planned on going to Tokyo in 2020 in the fall, and obviously everything got pushed back. And life as an athlete when you're not given any no competition in sport. I felt like a little bit of a bum for that time. I was just somebody at that point. I didn't see myself as an athlete who was stuck inside and would work out every once in a while and wasn't doing a whole lot with my life. So now that things started to return to normal and we had some competitions, that was very welcomed. And luckily the games did still go on in Tokyo. in 2021. In the fall, everything got pushed back 1 year, and we didn't think that we were even going to have a competition. We thought it was getting canceled in 2020, and that was that. But fortunately, we were still able to go and compete. And again, we maybe underperformed a little bit this time around. Not quite as much pressure. We weren't the number one seed going in, but in Tokyo, we finished with a fifth place finish. So here I am a year later, still competing with the team and planning on pursuing the 2024 games in Paris. And it's crazy to think that we're only 2 years out from that. With Tokyo getting pushed back, everything is likely being flying by. We've got a major competition pretty much every year, keeping us busy between now and Paris. We have World Championships coming up this fall in Denmark, so we qualified for that in February on a trip in Colombia. Next year we'll have the Pan American Games in Chile, and that will be our qualifying tournament for the 2024 Games in Paris. So providing that goes well, the goal is to continue to pursue that gold medal for Canada and hopefully bring it home to all of our very supportive family and friends and fans back home. And that kind of brings us to today. I guess 11 years later into my Paralympic journey.
Wow, well, that's fantastic, Zach. How do you like doing all the travel?
After not being able, I think there was a point where I was a little bit not fed up with travel, but it didn't have the same novelty, I suppose. It had worn off. And then COVID definitely shifted my perspective, where, like I said, being stuck at home as an athlete without any sport or competition, I just felt like a bum. So once things started to resume, I was much more appreciative, and it totally changed my perspective and outlook on the fact that I get this fantastic opportunity to go represent my country every time I put on that maple leaf on my jersey. It's I take it quite a bit of honor, and I get to represent my country doing this.
That's fantastic. Now, how did COVID change things for you between Rio and Tokyo?
There was some interesting months there where a lot of facilities were unavailable to us. So early on, we had to get a little bit creative. We would have a little more regular team meetings so we could go over some strategy within the team when you're not able to be together on the court. And even early on, we don't have access to weightlifting facilities. We had to get a little creative where at one point early in COVID, I was using my kitchen furniture to make gym equipment and filling backpacks with water bottles so I had heavy objects to lift and throw around. And so there were some interesting times early on, but things have mostly returned to normal for us, luckily here in Calgary. And I definitely don't miss those early COVID days.
And what was Tokyo like competing under the conditions of COVID?
That was definitely different. Not what we had expected from a Paralympics, obviously, when they have a facility expecting to fill with, I think there was 20,000 seats in the arena, and none of them were full. But on the bright side, I like to always try and have a positive outlook. So it was very well air conditioned because they're expecting 20,000 screaming fans to be heating it up in there, and so we didn't have to worry about overheating or anything, which was very nice. And when there's that many fans, it's very tough to hear your teammates or your coach's instruction when you're out there playing. So it was oddly quiet for a tournament of that caliber, but at the same time, it did make it a little easier for us to know what everybody was doing, and for coach to make sure that we were all following instructions properly, I suppose.
So with the seats so empty, who was allowed to watch?
There were very few people allowed. There were a handful of volunteers, obviously to help things run smoothly and manage the facility. And then we even had a limited number of staff that were allowed to be in there with us. Usually we have a support team of 8 or 10. I think we only had 2 or 3 of the staff allowed to be on the bench. And so that changed things up for us a little bit, but there was still enough people in the building that when things were going well for us, there would be some commotion still, just not as much as was expected, obviously, going into Paralympic Games.
Okay. And how did you feel the first time you won that silver medal?
That's definitely a feeling that I'll never forget. Every time I see the pictures still of tiny little 18-year-old Zach with his baby face, a little more hair up here, and not a single hair on my chin at that time. Every time I see that picture, it kind of helps me relive that moment and experience those emotions again, just the pride of being able to represent our country and bring home a medal for Canada.
Very nice. Very nice. Does anyone else have a question for Zach? Feel free to put up your hand or put it in the chat box.
Oh, I'll ask a question. Hi, Zach. Fellow Calgarian.
Oh.
Yeah, I guess what is your recipe for resilience? It sounds like you've had more than your fair share of adversity in your life. And what do you tell other people when you meet them, like if they've hit a bump in the road?
I think so much of it is, like I said, that attitude shift early on in the hospital. I was laying in the hospital bed and told myself, I'm not going to let this hold me back or slow me down too much in life. I mean, I could let it ruin my life, and I could say, here, I'm proud about it, and be sad and waste my time crying, or I could go out and just live life to the fullest. And I like to think that I've taken advantage of that, the fact that I'm able to travel the world, playing a sport that I'm absolutely in love with, and hopefully making my country proud. And so some good advice, some very good advice I actually heard just earlier this week. I was doing a speaking event, and I met the mother of a young boy who has had his fair share of medical complications. And she used to every day go into ICU, and some of the nurses would look at her. She always had a smile on her face, and went, how do you do this? And the other family, why are you always smiling? Like, you have so much stress in your life, so much going on. And she said that she made the conscious effort every time she walked from the parkade to the ICU on the opposite side of the hospital, that she would start off, even if she wasn't in a good mood, and it wasn't a real smile, she would walk in there with a smile on her face, and every person she saw would smile back at her, she would make people's days. And by the time she made it from the parkade to that ICU, she wasn't faking a smile anymore, because she had hopefully improved other people's days, and they were doing the same for her, just seeing those smiles. And it's something so simple, but I thought that was such incredible advice, and I think I do that myself a little bit, where even if I'm having a bit of a tough day, I don't want to bring other people down with things like that, so I leave the house, and I slap a smile on my face, and then after you have a few interactions with other people, and you see them smiling, it truly is contagious, and can totally just lift their mood and turn a not very good day into a great day.
All right, Teresa, I see you have your hand up. You are next.
Hi there. I had an issue. Hi, Zach. Thank you very much for your thoughts and sharing your story with us, which I was quite impressed by. I was just wondering if you had any tips or advice. You mentioned there were times where you felt maybe the team didn't perform to total expectations. Like you said, there was one time your team came in fourth. So I was just wondering how you kind of pulled yourselves together. How did you keep your energy up and your good spirits, and what kind of tips do you have for regrouping after something like that?
I think when I made my return to the team, that's after I took a brief hiatus to go to school, but when I came back, I came in with a very different outlook, and I think perspective on the sport of wheelchair rugby. And going into every game, I told myself that I'm fortunate enough to be playing this game, and the keyword there is a game, because games are supposed to be fun. And I try to go into every game, win or lose, and at least if we're out there enjoying ourselves and having fun, we're getting something out of it. And then at that point, I think winning is just a bonus if that does happen, because we get these great opportunities. And I feel like I didn't take the time to enjoy the Paralympics in 2016 in Rio, because there was so much pressure on myself and the team, and I didn't want to disappoint. And I didn't. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity that I've been fortunate enough to experience 3 times now, And I feel like I wasted that opportunity a little bit, and I want to learn from those mistakes and just try and live in the moment and enjoy the moment.
Thank you. Yeah, I think sometimes we forget to enjoy the moment, Jay. So I'm glad you raised that. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Catherine, you're next.
Hi, Zach. An amazing story, really inspirational, just really awesome. So where do you see yourself in 5 to 10 years? What does the future hold for you, do you think?
So I don't see myself continuing wheelchair rugby after the Paris Paralympics, I don't think. I took that time off to go to school and enjoyed every bit of going to college for architectural technology. So I'm very excited to see what that career has in store for me down the road. There's so many different avenues that I can go with that degree. And obviously, at some point, I would like to, I think, settle down and have or start a family of my own. But while on the road all the time, that doesn't seem, which it might be a little bit selfish to do what I do some days, and I don't think that would be fair to expect of a significant other, and so it makes dating interesting at times. So I think we're gonna still keep that on hold until there's no pressure on myself to pursue a family in the near future, but 5 to 10 years, that's definitely.
Sure. Well, all the best.
Thanks very much.
All right, Frank, you're next.
Thank you, Zach. Amazing story, very inspiring. Thank you for sharing. The question I had is, I mean, you've achieved a lot to date, and you're still going hard and still competing. What do you do to what do you do? Like, what's your downtime? What do you like? What do you do to unwind? What kind of stuff?
So during COVID, just like everybody else, I went out and I bought myself a puppy. My roommate at the time ended up leaving Calgary and moving to Vancouver, and so I was on my own. It was COVID, everybody was very lonely, and I didn't want a dog for a long time. But again, my travel schedule didn't really allow for raising a puppy or training a puppy, and that didn't seem very fair to a dog to be gone for weeks and weeks at a time. So I got a dog, and most of my free time is spent outside, just enjoying the outdoors when the weather permits. Obviously, when there's snow on the ground, I don't make it too far from home, even with her pulling me. But that's a lot of my free time is just spending time outside with family, friends, and my dog these days. Because as much as it might not seem like a full-time gig, between training 5-6 days a week, 2 to 3 times a day, sometimes between lifting and video sessions with the team and being on court practicing, and then obviously getting the required amount of sleep to allow the body to recover after that, and finding the time to be cooking healthy and fueling the body. It does take up a good chunk of my day.
Yeah, I bet it does. Thank you for sharing that.
All right, Madassir.
Hi, Zach. It was a great story, really motivational. What would be your one-liner to all those who are going through rough times, or what we can teach our kids about when things are not really working?
I think a lot of times you have to realize that sometimes things can be difficult at that very moment in time, but they almost always do get better. You may have to be a little bit patient. I mean, for myself, obviously, I was in the hospital for 6 months, and even after I got out, it was still a very long process to recover to a point where I could be independent and play sports again, and the things that will improve your life or your spirit, I suppose. And so just knowing that it will get better, even if at the time it doesn't feel like that's the case.
Thank you very much.
All right. Well, seeing as there seem to be no other questions from the floor, Zach, thank you so much for speaking with us today. I greatly enjoyed your presentation, and wish you all the best for the Paris 2024 Paralympic Games.
Thank you very much, and thank you guys so much for letting me be a part of your EDM this evening.
Thank you.
Okay. Take care.
So as I mentioned, this meeting is being recorded, so we will I will be happy to share Zach's speech with everyone post meeting. And we are now on to adjournment. So thank you to everyone who came to tonight's meeting, which was, of course, presented free for all the attendees. But if you have a few minutes and have a few dollars you'd like to contribute, you can do that on our website at www.j2dw.ngo/donate. As well, I encourage everyone to please follow us on their social media channels. That is it for tonight's meeting. It is 7:51 p.m., so I am adjourning this meeting. Board members, please stick around. We have a board meeting following this. But everyone else, you're welcome to stay and observe or head off as you need to. Thank you for attending, and I hope you have a wonderful evening.
Thank you very much for the meeting. I really enjoyed it.
Bye.